afternoon, everyone. My name is Barbara Chandler, and I am here with the one, the only Richlin Ryan. Richlin Ryan is an artist. She's a local artist, and the reason why we're here today, Richlin has a solo show that will be coming up next Thursday, August the 19th, from 6 to 9 p.m. The location is Gatsby on Church. It is a local restaurant owned by one of our own, Timothy Green. A lot of people know him from 535 Scratch Kitchen. Timothy and I met through a mutual friend, and he wanted some local artists, a local artist and their work in his new venue, Gatsby on Church. And Richlin Ryan, I reached out to her. She has some amazing work, and it is hanging there now. We're going to do the meet and greet next Thursday. But of course, we just want to get our community to become familiar with who Richlin is and what inspires her as an artist. So Richlin, thank you so much for coming out and joining me.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Absolutely. It's so good to have you and Weldon here. Weldon, we want to thank you for taking the time to do all this production work. Richlin, what inspired you, and when did you become an artist? When did you know that you had the gift?
Okay. Like most artists, most of us expose that gift at an early age. And I think it started when I was probably a little girl, creating doll clothes for my doll. And my aunt saw that, and of course she gave me some positive reinforcement. So I continued. And then probably about the age of 12 or so, another aunt who is an artist and also teaching at Penn State saw me doing these little buildings with people in it. And she was impressed because I had the wallpaper, the beds, whatever was done. And so she took the art, the pieces, and she exhibited at Penn State. I didn't get a chance to go to the opening or anything like that, but it was another positive experience that convinced me that, art is something that's valued.
Wow.
So I continued
Nice.
doing that. And then as a career, I chose to do graphic design, which I did in the publishing area. I was an art director for a weekly magazine.
Nice.
And then my husband retired. We moved to Florida, continued raising the kids, did a little bit of graphics here and there. But then Florida is not as, lucrative as New York with your career. So I started scaling back, and then I just started managing his art career when he started doing it full time, and just started doing that. And then just recently, about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, started doing art full time myself.
Wow, wow. So by looking at your work, it is hard to believe 3 to 4 years ago you really started to move in this space as an artist just by looking at your work. I believe I met you all in 2016.
Yes.
It's been that long ago. And so I definitely thought that you were already working, mastering in your craft. So this is incredible work. What moves an artist to create such a piece as this, especially in this climate?
In this climate. Well, most of it inspired to bring a little bit of cheer in my life because doing art is also therapeutical for us.
Absolutely.
A lot of us, the only way to make it through some of the dark days is by creating. And the subject matter that I usually choose is someone who inspires me, someone who some of them are artists, some of them are historical figures, and it's usually someone who inspires me by the work they do or the work they create. And I chose Nipsey because of what he's done with his life, coming from the street, making something better. He was always pushing forward.
Yeah.
Even when he was in the street, he was hustling.
Exactly.
Always looking to make something better of himself. And some of the lessons he's learned, he is one who learns from his lessons, and always reaching back to help his fellow community members. So I was inspired by the work he did creatively as well as socially.
Nice, nice. Now, when we look at this, when I see this, and I know that you use a mixed media, tell us about that.
Okay. First, the way I approach my work is I usually, if I'm using a photograph or even drawing from a photograph, I usually try to eliminate all shades and just subtract any gradation and just bring it down to its pure, high-lidded black and white representation. And then I reintroduce form, shade, texture by using tissue paper for all the color. So it's usually just black and white, and then I reintroduce color by using the tissue paper.
And what made you choose to use tissue paper? Was it just intuition?
Sheer accidental experimentation.
Wow.
It's one,
and it works.
And it works. It's one of those things where you go, I wonder if I did this, what would happen? And so I did that, and this is what happened. I just fell in love with the medium. It wasn't toxic. I have a high allergic to toxic materials, so I was looking for a medium where it was going to give me that vibrancy, that color play overlay, and tissue was perfect for that.
And I definitely see the femininity in it of your hands, your vision. Even though, as we know, this particular artist, Nipsey here, as someone who is definitely driven, masculine, I think the pinks for me, when I see that, I see you. I see the artist invoking their in this case, your femininity. So I appreciate your work. As a woman, a female, African American, you're an artist. What is that like? What is that like being female, being black, being an artist? What are the challenges?
Of course, earlier in life, the challenge was wife, mother, and of course, career. So presently, the challenge is staying true to my voice. Not, being moved by, people saying this is not what I like, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? It's just being able to be strong in your voice. In my experience, I haven't experienced any sexism or anything like that. Usually when I'm in a show with other male artists, be it African males or any other race, it's usually what are you saying with your work?
Correct.
Is it strong enough? Is your voice strong enough to stand with this body of artists? And that I find that my work, the way I support my work by standing strong in whatever I'm communicating, was able to stand with them. So I didn't feel that, there was anything lacking in where I was standing with the other artists.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Now, I also know that you are an arts educator, you're an artist, and you're also a curator. When you are curating the works of other artists, what does that do for you, and also how does it help the artist?
Okay, that was probably that I did before I started being a full-time artist, and I find that really helped me to find my voice as an artist and to really have that support of standing behind my work and standing for my work,
In working with other artists.
In working with other artists, because some of them would come and I'm curating their work and they weren't strong in their belief in what they were producing. And so you would see that the value they had for their artwork was not the value that I saw. And most of the time I was going, why are you priced so low? This is great work. And they were doing it because it was a mean to support their livelihood.
Right.
And of course, I come from a perspective where I have the luxury of standing behind the work and waiting for that sale of when people value the work, not
Correct.
because I need to sell it and get rid of it. And so those lessons of seeing how those artists were supporting themselves with the work and not getting the value made me more cognizant of how you should stand up for your work. Even when you need to feed yourself,
Correct.
sometimes you have to demand that people value what you're producing, because if you don't stand up for your work, who will?
Right, right. I know that you have shown at Creole School of Art. You've also shown at Maitland Arts and History Center. Where else have your work been shown?
Bethune-Cookman University, Visual Arts Gallery, the Yvonne Scarlett Golden Cultural and Educational Center.
And where's that one located?
That's in Daytona, as well as Bethune-Cookman. Of course, the Gatsby on Church Street, as well as I actually had a piece shown at Times Square in the middle of the pandemic. I was asked to show a piece in a gallery, Sixth Summit Gallery in Times Square, and I shipped the work out there.
Which piece was it?
It was Sister Rosetta.
Okay, okay.
Sister Rosetta. And it was a beautiful piece. Yeah, it was a beautiful piece, and it showed. I was able to see it when we went to New York in May. And then I have several pieces in Chicago at Gallery Gouchard,
Nice.
which is amazing. A beautiful Jimi Hendrix is there, and I'm
Wow,
hoping
wow.
that piece does not come back home.
Wow.
So if you're interested and you see this work and you're interested in seeing more of my work, there you can see more.
Excellent, excellent. Now, you are an artist. Your husband is an artist. You work together, you live together. Tell us about that. How does that play out?
It's not as difficult as you think. It's actually a blessing, because we both know when we're creating, give him his space, I have my space. There's no, well, why don't you pay me some attention or anything like that. If you're creating, I'm like, good for you. It gives me time to create. So from the early parts of our relationship, whenever he was creating something, I was also creating, because I used to sew. So we were always two creative souls, knowing what it takes to be creative, because that's our priority. You know, if we don't create, we're not a whole being. So
Wow, wow.
that was a blessing.
So you came into the relationship knowing that.
Yeah. Intuitively, we didn't even realize it, but we're, you know, oh, you got to go and do some creating? Oh, sure. I'm over there doing my thing.
Exactly.
So, or you could create and I'll just sit on the couch, and there's no problem. Our space was never an issue, and enjoying something together was never an issue. So it works.
Nice. Nina Simone, and I know that you have a couple Nina Simones in the show at Gatsby, one of my favorites. And Nina Simone is most known for saying that an artist is responsible for creating works, artworks that reflect the times. Do you believe that your artwork is true to that challenge?
Yes, I do believe that. And I feel most artists, whatever they're creating, is basically, I would think, is how they're feeling at the time, what they're interested in communicating at the time. So regardless of what the piece is that is created, it is still reflecting of the time, because the space and time you're in is what you're feeling at that time. Whatever's triggering you to create at that time is reflective of the time.
Very nice. What would you like your legacy to be in the arts community? Whether it's locally here, in New York, in your hometown, what would you like to, for people to say about your artwork? Well,
what I try to get across with my art is to bring joy. And you will see that in the colors. Even when I do a sad, probably emotional piece, I still like to leave the hope in it. And my colors and my color perspective is always very hopeful.
Nice.
So I would like to bring joy with my art.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Very nice. Any advice for the younger artists that are up and coming?
Know your value. know your value and stand up for your work. And one other thing is you can't be lazy. Artists are not lazy people. I don't care if you create, if you get up at 12 o'clock, if you stay till 5 o'clock in the morning and see the sun come up, you cannot be a lazy person. You're a driven person. So if you're going to do art and you think you want to do art, you have to be committed to stand up for your artwork and do the work it takes to produce quality art.
Wow. Wow, that's good advice.
Yes.
That's good advice for anyone.
Anyone.
As an entrepreneur, that's right.
Your work speaks for you.
That's
so
right.
I like to make sure that everything is tight and the quality is also. If I give something to somebody and it's not of quality, it offends me. So
Wow.
stand up for your work and make sure you're producing quality work.
That's excellent. So we are here speaking, of course, with Richlin Burnett-Ryan. Her show will be at Gatsby next Thursday, August the 19th, 6 to 9 p.m. Gatsby is 23 West Church Street. That's where you will be able to see her solo show, The Art of Richlin Ryan. Richlin, what else would you like to tell our audience? And if you can please leave us with a way in which to contact you.
Oh. I would like to tell the audience to, if you like my art, please collect a piece that is affordable to you. I have a range of prices, so I'm really trying to encourage a lot of the people in our community to collect art as an investment, as well as to support the artists in their community. You can find my work at richlinryan.com, and from there you'll be able to link on my other social media handles.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Richlin, for joining
Thank
us. And we look forward to seeing our audience. That's next Thursday, August the 19th, Gatsby on Church. That's 23 West Church Street. Thank you.
Thank you.